Hi, welcome back to another monthly setup. This is Nay's Crafty World and I'm Nay. In today's video, we will be setting up my monthly spread for July. This is the first spread in my new bullet journal. If you haven't seen my mid-year bullet journal setup yet, feel free to follow the link above. The theme for this month follows the theme of my bullet journal setup. Usually I do a lot of watercolor art, but I've been in a more crafty mood recently, so I decided to go for a dark academia theme with earthy tones and vintage papers and stickers throughout. To start off, I'm laying out the papers and stickers to plan the layout before I start gluing everything down. I usually don't add this process in my videos, so for this video I thought I would show you how I go about planning my page layouts. There are 4 main elements that I'll be using throughout this setup. I have some old brown wrapping paper that I had lying around. I've ripped up the paper and will be using it mainly for headings. I'm also using some journal papers with text on them that look like old letters in cursive font. I got these papers from STHM Stationery. I have some vintage looking washi tape that I will be using. These are also from STHM Stationery. And lastly, the stickers that I'll be using throughout this spread was part of a random mixed sticker pack that I got from a local art store. For the background pages, I'm just comparing different papers and textures to see which of these work together the best. Here I have a circular paper that looks like it could be from an old magazine or a newspaper. On top of that, as a background for the brown paper, I'm layering this yellow letter journal paper that I ripped to be a little smaller. Gluing the brown paper over that so that the yellow paper is only visible around the upper corner. On the sides of the page, I'm using small pieces of washi tape that also has cursive writing on it. For the second washi tape, I have to remove the entire page from the binder so that I can put the washi tape over the holes and against the side of the page. Using a hole punch, I'm reopening the holes so that the paper is able to go back into the binder. Luckily, the rings are easy to open and I can work with the entire page to make it look balanced. For the stickers, I chose this orange butterfly. I have to glue it down because I used it before in a previous spread, but then later I decided to remove it again, so it's not as sticky as it used to be. The second sticker is this beautiful image of a collage with papers, a statue of a woman, playing cards, and a moth and a bee. I like all of these elements and I thought that it would go really nicely with the theme. Moving on to the heading, I'm firstly using a pencil to write the name of the month, just to ensure that I get the spelling and font right. Then I'm using my SAKURA Pigma micron liner in the size 02 to line the header. The next page will be my month at a glance page. On this page, I want to plan for the month and write down any goals that I want to look at during the month. I'm also including my habit tracker on this page. As you can see, I'm using a pencil to plan the layout for the page beforehand. At the top of the page, I'm planning out my monthly calendar that will also serve as my social media tracker for the month. I want the calendar to be small but big enough where I can use it to track on what days I post on different platforms. I'm leaving open a section on the left side under the calendar for my goals list. And then on the left, I am roughly marking where the habit tracker header will be and drawing in one small calendar. Under the calendar, I have 4 little squares for my habit tracker key. For the headers, I'll be using the same brown paper as on the cover page, ripping it into the size of the area I marked out. I made the first one a little too small, so I'm moving it to the tracker header and making a longer one for the main header. Now that I have those ready, I can start with the line work. Using a size 02 Pigma micron liner, I'm going over the pencil lines of the calendar. I started by using the ruler with the flat side of the ruler against the page, but then the pen is still new, so it has a lot of ink, and that ended up going under the ruler and smudging. So I'm flipping the ruler around so that there's a gap between the paper and the ruler so that the ruler won't smudge the ink before it dries. I'm not too bothered by the smudges though. This page theme feels a bit more rustic anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. For the small calendar, I've changed my pen to a size 003 fine liner. This is a very thin liner because I want the small calendar to be lighter so that the big calendar stands out a lot more. Using my alphabet stamp set and brown SAKURA pen, I am stamping out the header for my goals. I thought that the brown would go better with the theme than the normal black ink. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. Like I said before, the calendar will double as my social media tracker, so each platform that I post on will have a different color, and if I post on that day, I'll use that color to make a dot on the day that I posted. I didn't include the key in this spread because I already know the colors that I usually use for each platform. But you could easily add a key on the left side of the calendar and choose your own colors. I'm applying the same concept to my habit tracker. Here I did include a key. Each habit has a different color, and on the days that you do that habit, you can make a small dot or line in the square for that day. In this video, I decided to set up all my weekly spreads at once, but I'll only be showing you the first setup. The rest I'll show you the final result and talk about what I did different. All the weeklies have the exact same layout, but the decoration for each page is a little different. As you can see, I've drawn in the calendar for July. In the top left corner of the page, I like to include the calendar on each page so that I have it there to look at and reference. It does, however, take a while to write all the dates out every time. Under the calendar, I have my notes section for the week. Here I can write any details about my week that I have to remember, or I also sometimes use this as my shopping list for the week. This month I chose to go back to bigger daily sections. I've been very unorganized lately, so in this new month I'd like to plan out my days in more detail. Rather than just writing in one line or my appointments for that day, the last section on the right hand is my to-do list for the week. Here, I'll usually write small quick things that I need to do throughout the week, but don't need to do on a specific day. And if I don't get to do it, I'll just migrate it to the next week and write it in the next to-do list. There are only 6 sections because I've decided to combine Saturday and Sunday and just write weekend. I'm still learning about calligraphy and the different kind of strokes and different pressures to use on your pen, so I have been applying those ideas to the days of the week to make the text look a bit more interesting. Now that all the writing is finished, I can get to decorating. I had a piece of scrap paper that I used in my journal setup, so I thought that I would cut it to fit the bottom corners, leaving a strip of paper that I will be using later on. I think this sticker goes with the paint very well. To me, it definitely has a dark academia vibe to it, especially on top of the vintage paper. I gave all the ink a minute to dry, and now I'm going with my brown SAKURA brush pen as well as gold glitter highlighter, and then my pale orange SAKURA brush pen, which in my opinion kind of looks like pink. I like this color combination. It also matches my bullet journal setup color palette. I also highlight the week on the small calendar at the top of the page. And there you have the first weekly for July. Moving on to the next weekly. As you can see, the layout is the same as the first, but on this page I went with a vintage text washi tape at the bottom of the page, as well as a sticker of a skull in the bottom right corner. This isn't meant to be creepy as much as it is academic. Think university biology class skeleton. In week 3, I used a beautiful textured green paper and a floral washi tape. I love how the washi tape is thin so that you can see the layer underneath it. And lastly, week 4, I used a slightly different journal paper, but also with cursive text on it, and added a little peekaboo piece on the right page. For the sticker, I once again went with a statue. Moving on to the final pages in my July setup, these are my social media planning spreads, where I plan what posts I'll make on which days for both Instagram and YouTube. I know these spreads might not be useful for everyone, but I do think that they could easily be converted into either a study planner or even a household chores planner. Starting off, I used a pencil to plan out the size of my table. For my Instagram planner, I went with 24 spaces diagonally and 20 spaces horizontally. 2 rows at the top are for the header, and then 1 space is for the description, and the rest I worked out how many days I will be posting for the month. I post Mondays to Fridays, so for me I planned 5 lines per week. There are 4 columns. The first is the date, the second the type of post, the third is the post description, and lastly a checkbox to say if I posted it or not. Sometimes something might come up and you end up not posting that day. For the main header, I used the same brown paper as on my previous spreads. And for all the headings, I'm using my alphabet stamps and black ink. For the column headers, I chose to use black paper, so I cut out these strips and I'm gluing those to the 3rd row. Here I'm writing in the dates that I will be posting in July. Below the table, I'm adding a piece of that paper that I saved earlier and adding ripped brown paper on top of it. This will be my follower tracker. At the beginning of the month, I'll write down the amount of followers I have, and again at the end of the month. This helps me so that I can see how much that number has grown throughout the month. And if you're interested in checking out my Instagram, I post about bullet journaling as well as painting. For my YouTube tracker, I want it to look very similar to the Instagram planner. So I'm going to go ahead and plan out the table using a pencil and then going over that with a pen. This table is 20 spaces diagonally and 20 spaces horizontally. There will be 4 columns. The first is the day, the second is the date, the third is the title, and last is the checkbox. I try to post 2 videos per week, usually 1 journaling video and 1 paint with me video. And while we're busy with the YouTube planner, if you'd like to support my channel, please leave me a comment and let me know what you think of this video. And lastly, I'm using my white jelly roller pen to write in the headers. This makes them stand out a lot and I think it looks really clean. Once again, I'm using the scrap paper from earlier and brown paper on top to make my subscriber tracker. In the last month, I've been very excited to see how many new people have been interested in following my channel and enjoying my content. So I'd like to give a big warm thank you to all my new subscribers. I hope you'll be here for a long time and I hope you like the videos I have planned for you in the near future. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to hit that like button if you like this video. Until next time, I hope you have a crafty day.